Greetings, and peace, everybody. I am Josiah Franklin, founder of PTHD, or Post Traumatic Hood Disorders Organization, and I'm here with a presentation seeking some help and some funding for some of our programs that we got going on. With that being said, let's jump right into it. So, the first program we're going to talk about is called Hood Summit. The second program will be called Check the Rhyme. So, let's jump into Hood Summit first. First, let's figure out what is PTHD. All right. PTHD stands for post traumatic hood disorders. I know it sounds different. It's because it is different. Hood traumas are unique to the hood. People who come from hood have suffered a lot of hood based trauma, right? And that's what we deal with HBTs, hood based traumas. Some of those traumas look like gang violence. Of course, you probably heard about that in movies and everything else in music. Poverty, which has been normalized. Drugs, which is a byproduct of those experiences. Food deserts, not a good access to good healthy foods in the community. Prostitution, which is huge now. Police dysfunction, which is rampant, always has been in the neighborhood, and so on and so on. I can keep going, but there's so many of them. Now, here's a wild discovery. This is how I figured out and discovered this whole thing called PTHD. I went through some terrible times with a death with a parent, a breakup with a person I really wanted to marry, and then I just couldn't figure out how I kept getting myself in these cycles. So I went to a therapist one day after leaving a barbershop, and I sat down with this therapist who did not come from my background, but she listened and heard me out. And it was the first time I had a chance to put my life on the table. The things that I had seen and experienced in the hood or growing up, which was in the hood, that when I put it on the table, as it came out of my mouth, even it didn't seem normal. It didn't seem right. And I began to immediately retrace my steps to figure out where these things came from and what they produced. And some of it was some of the issues that was created for me within myself as to why I couldn't keep good relationships. So I came out of that meeting with an idea of PTSD. I had hood disorders, but I didn't know what to do with it. So with that being said, I went into African spirituality around 2009. And going through that whole process, I discovered what they call Ori and how important your mind is. Your mind is nothing but a computer. And if your computer gets a bug or a virus in it, you might need to defrag it, reset it, um, clean the drive so that it can work and do what it was meant to do, its original functions. Well, mine was full of viruses from the hood. And I had not taken those viruses out, and those viruses were causing me issues. And I discovered that through my African spiritualities, and I discovered how to approach them and to be apologetic to myself and to others that may have harmed, including exes, and began my journey of healing from PTSD then. And along my journey of healing PTSD, I decided to create and form the organization called PTSD or Heal PTSD to help others who come from those same environments where these things do not get identified as dysfunctional trauma. Um, that's where we were born. Now, our mission is to heal the community and empower the youth through programs like Hood Summit and Check the Rhyme. Put a pin and check the rhyme because we're going to deal with that one in a second. But first, we're going to deal with Hood Summit. Hood Summit is a community-driven event designed to address post-traumatic hood disorders. We meet once to twice a month, depending on what's going on that month. But definitely once a month, we're going to meet. It's a safe space for open discussion on trauma and resilience, which brings solutions at the same time. Now, I'll explain how we bring solutions at the same time at the end. I want to deal with epigenetics in this process. Now, communities cannot heal unless parents and adults first recognize and address generational trauma within themselves. Epigenetics is just that, the resistance of acknowledging the traumas within yourself that you probably have, since you've never addressed it or faced it, you could not have healed it. You could not have began to heal it. So it's still floating in your genes. You have an offspring and you give that child that same issue. So Epigenetically, we need the parents involved with their own healing. How can we heal the communities without the parents first? Root causes of these things are generational traumas in urban communities, lack of positive role models and resources for the parents to be able to see that. Now, there are therapists all over, right? But we all know in that community, it's not really seen as a good thing to do to go to a therapist. Even when I went, I had to sneak. I couldn't tell anybody. When I went to the therapist, it was right across the street from my barbershop. And I was in the chair thinking about all these things in my head as he was cutting my hair, but I couldn't mention this stuff to the barber, even though we talk to barbers about all kind of stuff. But these things are abnormal to talk about. They wouldn't want to hear that. They would think you were something soft or someone soft or you're being too petty or whatever they would come up with, but they would never think that, hey, that is a trauma, because to them it was normalized. To them too, it was just the culture to them. So again, resources, when I say resources, I mean places where people can actually hear you, understand you, empathize, and try to bring solutions with you. Youth influenced by toxic narratives in music, media, and culture. The youth have been influenced by the narratives and the music. I want you to pay attention. Put a pin in music for a second. But in music, media, and the so-called culture that we have created over time. Now, hood-based topics that we have at the Hood Summit, and it's just that, hood-based topics. And what we mean by that is not Crips and Bloods, none of that type of stuff, right? We're talking about stuff that has a suffix with hood attached to it that directly affects people in the community that I'm talking about, which like manhood. We all know manhood is a thing in a community. Most of us in the neighborhood or the hood grew up without a father. So if we grew up without a father and we're young boys growing up to be men, how do we properly learn how to be a man if you've never been a son? Think about that one. Womanhood is an issue that we must discuss, which we have discussed. We've discussed everything on this screen right now already. Hip hop hood was a big one for us too. Gangster hood was a pretty good one, but material hood, because material hood in the hood is a very big thing. Look at the rap videos, nothing but materialism. Health hood, which means that we don't have access to good health in our communities. How do we fix them if we don't address them? Why parents matter in this process? Well, parents are known to shape the generation's mindset, the next generation's mindset, their children's mindsets, their habits, and they're responsible for what they're exposed to. Parents have the right to sign off and say yay or nay if their child can participate in whatever the child wants to participate or does not want to participate in. By reaching and healing parents, we create a supportive foundation for the youth and for what we're trying to do and for our mission statement with their children. If we get the parents on board with the program, then we can definitely get the kids to come in and at least check us out. At least that's the thought, right? Now let's talk about check the rhyme. All right. Told you to put a pin in the music concept. Well, here we go. Take the pin out. Music is very influential. If you go back and research over time, over decades, every decade there's a new artist. Every decade there's a new issue, social, political issue that needs to be addressed or is being addressed. And every decade there's an artist and there's a music genre that sings and is the narrative to that issue. Back in the 60s, it was the civil rights movement. After King got killed in 68, James Brown came up with a song called Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud. So if you hear that tone, if you hear that slogan, you know what it is, you know who it is. Matter of fact, practice it with me. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. See what I'm saying? You know what it is, and you know where that came from. If you've done your history or if you have lived through that time period, you know what that came from. Music influences the mind based upon where it directly affects you. Back then, racism was at an all-time high. King had just been killed, so a lot of people were on a high emotional tip of their blackness at that time. And he made the song at the perfect time. Right? Now, let's switch it. Again, like I said, you know what's going on when you hear the song. Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre made a song, and it goes like this. If you know the song, sing it along with me, okay? I'm gonna sing the first part, you sing the second part. You ready? One, two, three. One, two, three, into the four. Snoop Doggy Dogg and Dr. Dre is at the door, right? So, what was going on at that time back then? 92, gang violence was at an all-time high for that time period. It went higher after that. Drugs being sold was at an all-time high. Crack epidemic was still affecting the community. It was so much going on, and poverty was running rapid at the same time, right? So you can tell what was going on at that time by listening to that song. And when that song came out, it was 387 murders, I believe, in LA County. By the time that song came, their anniversary of that song came back the next year in 93 of December of 93, it was almost 1,000 murders that had been committed. Was that music influential in those murders? Ha, gotta say yes on my end, because a lot of people became gangsters and a lot of people started smoking weed and stuff because of that project. But we won't indoctrinate, we won't indict Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. We just gonna be using this as an analogy, okay? So Check the Rhyme is an 8-week course for the youth, ages 13 to 21. We use what was called neuromusicology, which is a term that came out around 99, 2000, but got popularized in 2009, where they study music and show how music affects the mind and the behaviors of a person that's consuming that music. There's no coincidence that if you're listening to certain music, you dress like the artist, you begin to even rationalize like the music that you're thinking, you justify your lifestyle based around what you probably have already heard. And you probably don't even know you're doing it because subconsciously, that's what music plays on, preys on. Subconsciously, you're just doing what you've been listening to, or better yet, programming yourself with. That makes sense. Check the Rhyme helps the youth to critically analyze these lyrics that they've been programming themselves with, that they consume on a consistent basis, so that they can make better choices in life. It also provides them with mentorship. We provide the mentorship to help them through this process and provide them with life skills that combat the music that they've been listening to and the programs that they created for themselves by listening to that music. And then leadership. They're leading themselves first to healing. If they lead themselves and they begin to heal and start changing their behaviors, then hopefully change their playlist, then maybe it'll influence others. At least that's the goal, right? So let's bridge the gap. Step one, educate, engage parents at Hood Summit. Number one, equip the parents with tools and awareness to guide the children. Number two. Number three, encourage the youth to join Check the Rhyme. And number four, create a cycle of healing and empowerment across generations. That's what we're looking to do here. Now, what do the youth gain from this process? What does the youth gain from this? Well, they gain awareness of how music impacts their mental behavior and health. I say that because if they're acting a certain way, if they're getting in some kind of troubles and stuff in school, they can always go back to their playlist, see what they've been listening to, and then make a choice, because through that course, they're going to get life skills now. They're going to have something to compare it to. Most of these kids don't have nothing to compare it to. They just have the music. They just have their environment, which is already dysfunction. So they're comparing dysfunction with dysfunction. We're going to give them something else to be able to make a new unit of measurement with in order to change their behavior, right? So hopefully that'll help them out too. Critical thinking skills and the power of choice. Again, like I said, power of choice is so important in this process that if we don't understand how this affects them, or they don't even understand how it affects them, then how can they make a better choice in their life, right? So we got to give them something to, in opposition to what they've seen already. Now, why do we need funding? As we said in the beginning of this video, because we have a whole lot of things that we have been funding for out of our own pockets, and we can't continually do it that way. We need support to be able to continue this campaign. So we're asking for anybody who will listen, who has the funds, who sees the mission, who wants to support what we're doing, to help fund us so that we can take care of some of these things on this screen, videography, so we can have good media to promote and get stuff out there, so we can have speakers and instructors that with honorariums, not just asking them for charity all the time, to come and teach, to give their all, to bring the solutions to the table for us and help us. I can't do everything, so I need other people who are smarter than me in these areas that can come and help the community also. And at times they're going to require honorariums, workshop materials that we need to take care of, community outreach and marketing things we need to take care of. Transportation is a big issue because some of the elderly can't get there and the kids can't get there because they just can't get there. We need to make sure we have transportation options, Uber, a bus that we can, or a van we can rent and get people there. Meal options. We do provide meals. We provided meals for people for a long time, and we want to make sure that we can keep doing that to a certain degree. We got to make sure they have something, but we got to have things in place legally so that we can do that. So we need funds to help take care of the legal aspects of it, and then to get good people in there that can provide healthy meals so that they can see healthy meals do exist, they do taste good, and here's where you can get them. Right, the DJ is a big part of our production because it's music based usually, and I teach through music a lot, so I usually have a DJ there to help me out as much as he can, okay, because I got to pay him too. So again, the money goes to the DJ to help with that process, and then the staffing. I've had a lot of support over the last year from people donating their time, but people come and then they go. Now I miss a lot of good people because I can't really afford to keep them financially. So at the same time, I lose a lot of good people. I'm trying to build a staff here that will be consistent so that we can always do the things that we know we can do consistently and grow with that staff. All right. Programs like this one is really important too. We talked about Check the Rhyme Academy. This money is going to go to fund this academy. We don't want any kids to have to pay for these programs. We want these kids to come in and just come in and plug in. We don't want them to have to worry about how they're going to get into the program. All right. So those funds will go to that. Those funds will also go to a book that we're creating, we're curating, that we're trying to look to put out this fall. It's called PTHD: How Did I Survive South Central? It's a book by me, story of my life and how I survived South Central and came through the PTHDs that came with it. It's going to be a workbook. It's going to be a biography, and it's going to be music that comes along with it to help support the narrative of this book. So it's a lot going on with that book. It's a lot going on with this Check the Rhyme. It's a lot going on with PTHD in general. We are looking to get your support as much as we possibly can what we have going on. With that being said, the call to action at this point is we're asking you to join us in changing lives. Fund the Hood Summit for us and check the Rhyme Academy along with the book and everything I mentioned. The next steps is just become a partner with PTHD and help us spread awareness and bring resources to the community that it desperately needs. This is a program unlike any other. I'm not just saying that because it's my program. I have never seen a program that is directly addresses the root of issues in the hood community. Our goal is to prevent people from getting into trouble, prevent people from having to get resources that help them after the fact. Let's help these kids from the root before it gets too late. That's our goal. That's our mission. I'm Jasier Franklin. I am here today asking for your support for what we do at PTHD. I hope that you see the vision and I hope that you see it in your heart to contribute to what we're trying to get accomplished here. I look forward to hearing from you soon. I say thank you for listening. Have a great day.